This video is teaching you how to round large numbers to various places within large numbers. That should say to round. You're going to be rounding to various places within large numbers. And by various places, I mean places in the place value chart, like ones, tens, hundreds, thousands, 10,000s, 100,000s, millions, 10 millions, 100 millions. So one of the things you'll notice here at the top of this paper is that I have the digits 0 through 9 typed out here, and 5 is underlined and bolded. Because if you make it to 5, or if the digit's 5 or above, then you are going to bump it up. It's kind of like, if you make it to, the 5 is like the top of the hill of a roller coaster. If you make it to the top, you definitely want to keep going. If you're not up to the top yet, you're going to keep it the same. So the question you'll be asking yourself, are you going to keep the number the same, or are you going to bump it up? And then these are kind of the little rules that you're going to follow. Keep the numbers on the left the same in most cases, and change the numbers on the right to zeros. So, for instance, if you were asked to round this number 434 to the hundreds place, I underlined the hundreds place, you are going to try to decide. You're going to look next door, look into the tens place, and you're going to decide, am I going to keep this a 4, or am I going to bump it up to a 5? So the 3 tells you that you are going to keep it the same. So it's going to stay 400, and then you're going to turn these numbers here to the right of that into zeros, because what you're saying is that 434 is closer to 400 than it is to 500. So you've always got to think of that number line in your head. You are trying to determine whether 434 is closer on a number line to 400 or to 500. And so it is closer to 400. That's why it rounds to 400. Now, if we had this same number, but this time, instead of rounding it to the hundreds place, we want to round it to the tens place, we're going to say, what we're really trying to figure out here is 34 closer to 30 or closer to 40 on a number line? And if you're not sure, if you can't figure that out in your head, then you look over here to the number next to it, and it's a 4, and 4 stays. 4 means that this stays the same. So you're going to keep the number to the left of the 3. You're going to keep it the same. In this case, 34 is going to round to 30. So 434 rounded to the nearest 10 is 430. You do not want to leave off that 4, because you're determining where this whole number is going to end up when you round this number to the tens place. So let's look at this number. In this case, let's say we're going to round to the tens place again. So we're going to look at this 6. We are trying to determine, is 67 closer to 60 or closer to 70 on a number line? So if 60 is here and 70 is here, where is 67 going to be? And I'm going to type that out. If 60 is here and 70 is here, where would you put that number 67? Well, you'd put it probably about right here. 67 is closer to 70. That means this part of the number is going to round to 70. So You're going to keep these numbers on the left the same. It's going to be 1,270 because 1,267 rounded to the nearest tenth or tens place is 1,270. Now, what if we had this same number, 1,267, but this time we want to round it to the nearest hundreds place? Well, in this case, what we're really trying to determine is 267 closer to 200 on a number line or 300? So if you were to take 267, where would you place it between these two numbers? Well, you're going to go a little bit more than halfway and probably place it right there. So it's closer to 300. So this part of the number is going to round to 300, and you're going to keep that 1,000. You're going to keep this digit over here the same. You're going to bump this one up and change those to 0. Keep it the same, bump up the 2, change those to zeros for 1,300. Let's take a look at this. I'm going to change this number right here. We are going to round to the nearest thousands place. So when we round to the nearest thousands place, we're going to look next door, and we are trying to determine, is 4,541, is it closer to 4,500? I'm sorry, we're trying to determine, is it closer to 4,000 or 5,000? So we've got 4,541. Is that closer to 4,000 or is it closer to 5,000? Well, once we look next door at this 5, and that 5 tells us to bump it up because it's really a little bit past halfway. So this would round to 5,000. This part of the number would round to 5,000, and we're going to keep that 5 the same. So that number is going to round to 55,000 because this number says bump it up to a 5, keep that the same, change those numbers to 0. But I want you to keep thinking about this number line too, because this isn't just a magic trick. It has number logic behind it. So this one, say that you were supposed to change or you were supposed to determine. You're going to round to the nearest 10,000s place. So we look next door. The 8 tells us to bump it up. So this is going to be bumped up to an 8. We're going to turn all these numbers to zeros, and all those numbers stay the same. All right.